What is up, you guys? This is D-Man HD, and I am back. And today we are doing our Week 3 matchup of the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to do a game preview, and I'm actually with a special guest.
It's the Vinny Mac, man. It's Mac, man. I'm back again this week, and it feels good to be back because we're previewing a great game on Sunday. Probably one of the best on the slate that people would say.
Oh, absolutely. This is definitely one of the best games on paper. You got the Los Angeles Rams who are 2-0. You got the Buffalo Bills who are 2-0. Oh, but the Bills have played the Dolphins and the Jets, but the Jaguars couldn't do anything against the same Dolphins. But Cam Newton couldn't put up half the stats Josh Allen did against the Dolphins. Anyway, I digress. We're going to talk about this matchup. The Buffalo Bills come in as favorites. Actually, no. Yes, no, -2 favorites. I mean, you can get into the stadium for $43. Too bad, there's no fans at Bill Stadium right now. Before we even get into this, I gotta say the key to this game is gonna be the offensive and defensive line of both teams. You're gonna have the Bills' offensive line going up against Aaron Donald, arguably one of the best defensive players ever. Not even in the league. He is the best defense player in the league. And against the Bills' offensive line, which we all know is not the greatest, but it's not the worst. And it's going to be interesting to see how Aaron Donald can stack up against the Bills' offensive line, as well as the Bills' defensive line can match up against with the Rams' mid-tier offensive line. I really think it's going to be a battle between the lines on this one. And if you have good blocking, you're going to get good holes in the run game, good vision for Josh Allen. If you get good pressure, Jared Goff's going to have to throw picks and rush, and he's going to make mistakes. So, what do you think is going to be a key matchup in this game?
Like I said, man, I couldn't agree more with that. The offensive and defensive line of both teams are going to be a very important key. Of course, the Buffalo offensive line is going to have a very tough day going against a guy like Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is a game wrecker, man. He can wreck an entire game plan offensively, and if he's able to provide pressure, he's going to see a lot of double teams. So our interior linemen, Quentin Spain, Mitch Morris, Cody Ford, it's going to be a lot of double teams up in that action, which is going to give a lot of one-on-one matchups for the rest. Now, the other thing of the Rams is that they're in the bottom half of the league and getting pressure. So, it might not be all too bad for the Bills. As long as they're really worried about Aaron Donald. Really, Aaron Donald is the main one getting pressure on that defensive line. But when you look at the statistics, they're in the bottom half of the league in sacks, and they're 12th in takeaways. And the Buffalo defense is that's also a key matchup for me. It's going to be these linebackers against those tight ends. It's the tight ends, mainly Tyler Higbee.
Tyler Higbee is definitely a player to watch in this week. He had 3 touchdowns last week. And the Bills' defense, without Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmunds, you really saw them struggle against Mike Gesicki of the Dolphins. He had 130 yards and a touchdown. Clearly their leading receiver of the day. So if the Bills can get back Milano and Edmunds, which it looks like they will be back, it seems like the only true big injury that they have this week is Dawson Knox is going to be out with a concussion. They have Zach Moss also out with a toe injury. I think it's looking good that Milano and Edmunds will both be active. One player on offense that I really want to highlight is Devin Singletary. We all love Motor. He's a very elusive back, but when you're going up against the Dolphins and the Jets, who apparently have these very bad defenses, he has yet to surpass 100 yards rushing from 2 games. So I'm looking at his stats right now. He has 86 rushing yards in total, and that's not including his receiving yards. But if he's going to be their true number 1 back, and with Zach Moss out, you would expect him to carry the load a little bit more. I say if Devin Singletary doesn't get at least 70 yards rushing this week, it's going to be a problem for the Bills. I mean, Singletary is elusive. He's going to be amazing in that backfield to catch passes. And I get off the Bills' offense now is a very air raid offense. I mean, Josh Allen, for God's sake, is throwing for 727 yards through 2 weeks, leading the league in passing yards. And Stephon Diggs has 239 of those yards. But when your leading rusher does not have 100 yards yet through 2 games, it's kind of worrisome to me.
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, personally, really, I mean, of course, in the first 2 games, we haven't really had to lean on the run game as much. But, of course, I think that is probably going to be a point of emphasis this week because the Rams' defense has not looked very good against the run, giving up over 100 yards last week to the Eagles, and then the week before that, Zeke had over 100 yards rushing. So that is probably going to be a point of emphasis, and I'm pretty sure Brian Dable has some drawn up for that as they went through that in practice. And then, like I said, as far as the offense goes, I mean, Allen, it's going to be a big test for him. He's had two somewhat poor defenses against the pass, being the Jets and the Dolphins. He's lighting them up, but I personally think that Dable is going to be able to draw some things up, and he's gonna have some cooked up for Josh Allen where he's gonna be able to pass the ball effectively. And of course, I know we're gonna touch on it, but I might as well go ahead and start it early. But I mean, your matchup on offense is gonna be Diggs versus Ramsey. I think this is one for the ages. I think everybody's excited for this one.
I was actually, you read my mind. I was actually gonna go to that right now. I was gonna say, let's say, like last week, we were possibly predicting the fact that, like, you know, Byron Jones, and God forbid he actually did get injured with a groin injury during that game on the first play of the Bills' offense. We thought he was going to slow down Diggs. Not, like, you know, shut him down, but, like, slow him down. To where he would only get, like, you know, maybe, like, 70 yards and a touchdown compared to the 153 yards that he actually did get. So, and then you bring in Jalen Ramsey, who is a top 3 corner in the league, and some consider the best corner behind Gilmore and Tre'Davious White, or some do consider him to be better than both of them. It's going to be an interesting matchup, definitely. My main person on the receiving core, I gotta say John Brown. He has impressed me through 2 weeks. I truly thought his targets were going to go down with the addition of Diggs. You know, you get a superstar wide receiver. You got to feed them the ball. But Allen is being very, what's the word? He's like, I want to say the word sharing, but like he's being like, you know, cooperative.
He's doing a great job of getting this open, man.
Yeah,
so
he's dishing it well.
Yeah, he's doing a good job spreading the ball around. John Brown, yes, most definitely. I can agree with that.
I think John Brown has a touchdown in both games. He had the beautiful bomb last week against the Dolphins, and he also had like a little screenplay against the Jets. So he does have a touchdown a game. I'm interested to see how he matches up against the cornerback too, or if the Rams and Sean McVay match Ramsey up with John Brown. That's going to be a field day for the Bills if Diggs is not on Ramsey. And I think they would have to select. You were saying?
Oh, no, I didn't mean to cut you out there. But, I mean, I think at some point you're probably going to see Ramsey shadow. He's going to shadow Brown at some point. He's more likely going to. But his primary match is going to be Diggs. There's a possibility he will shadow Brown from time to time. I don't think he'll shadow him as much as he will Diggs, because Ramsey always calls the number one receiver. So, I mean, but yeah, talking about John Brown really should have a good game as far as going up against the second corner. Because, I mean, the Rams have a good secondary, but of course, the best corner is Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
We have yet to really see what the others have played well because of Jalen Ramsey. But I think in one-on-one matchups, when you got John Brown and Cole Beasley working those one-on-one matchups, I'm going to take those Bills guys over those Rams guys any day of the week.
Absolutely. I think the Bills, and a lot of people don't want to say it because they, like, you know, it's the popular thing to hate on the Bills and hate on what Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have done, even though, like, you know, they've built a complete team in Buffalo. They have 3 top-tier wide receivers. Not everyone... Only Diggs is, considered in that top 10. But, when you look at wide receiver trios, you got to mention the Bills with Beasley and Brown. Beasley had 800 yards last year. John Brown had 1,000. And then you add Diggs, and Diggs is on pace to have another, 1,500 yards, 1,400 yards?
He's actually on pace to have 2,000 yards this season.
So...
According to ESPN.
So, according to ESPN, he's not going to get 2,000. But, if God forbid if Diggs gets hurt, you still have Brown and Beasley. But it looks like you're going to have at least 2 receivers go over 1,000 yards. And as a Bills fan, I can't remember the last time we had 2. I know last year we had John Brown surpass 1,000 yards. And I want to say in maybe 2015 and 2016 with Sammy Watkins. And then before that,
Sammy's rookie, he had 1,000.
I think his second year he had 1,000 because his rookie he was 41 short. I remember he had 950 or something. He was very close to 1,000 his rookie year. But either way,
if it wasn't Watkins, then it was the one before him was Stevie Johnson.
Yeah, Stevie Johnson. So it's not the sense that Buffalo never had a 1,000-yard receiver, but it's the sense of we didn't have a player like, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, who every single season's going to get that. It was there were gaps because we just said it. John Brown did it in 2019, Sammy Watkins did it in 2015. So that's a 4-year gap right there. And then Stevie Johnson, I think, did it in 2012. So it's another 3-year gap right there. But the one man we have to mention, and we have not talked about him enough, in my opinion, is Josh Allen. And, oh my lord, has Josh Allen looked amazing this year. He's fumbled it twice. Yes, technically if you want to consider 3 times, but that play was blown dead against the Dolphins where he was trucking and stiff-arming defenders and going beast mode for no reason on a 3rd down run. And which he doesn't regret a single bit of it, which is what I love about Josh Allen. He has no fear. But Josh Allen right now, he's an MVP candidate. You look at the stats, he's leading the league in passing yards. I think he's 2nd or 3rd in passing touchdowns, only behind Russell Wilson. And he hasn't thrown a pick. Now granted, those stats could be buffered due to the fact that he did play the Dolphins and the Jets look like the absolute worst team in football. There's no question about that. But, we look at Gardner Minshew, and everyone was propping up Gardner Minshew, and I don't know if it was because he was a meme or he was somewhat of a decent quarterback, but it's like the legend of Minshew, the myth of Minshew. But Minshew didn't throw for 300 yards. He didn't throw for 200 yards, I don't think. At one point in the game, he had 115 passing yards against the Dolphins secondary that everyone is considering garbage. And then Cam Newton, he didn't throw for 200 yards against the same Dolphins team. So, I get, it's fun to hate on Buffalo, but you gotta think logical. If Josh Allen threw for 400 yards last week, why is he getting hate for that when Cam Newton then throw for 200 and Gardner Minshew, I don't think he threw for 200, but either way. So, why would Josh Allen get hate? Gardner Minshew actually threw for 275. So, but a lot of that came in garbage time when they were already losing. But oh, sorry.
Like I said, it's gonna happen. It happened since we drafted. Since Buffalo made the draft pick, picking Josh Allen. Of course, everybody just saw big arm and no one thought that he was going to be able to develop as well as he's developed in 3 years. It's not going to change.
No.
It's going to stay the way it is. The people want to continue to hate on Allen. Let them do that. Just like Devin Singletary said earlier this week. Just keep it coming because it's only going to motivate him even more. Because, starting out the way he has, throwing for 727, 6 TDs. He's got an 86 quarterback rating, and he's completing over 70% of his passes. A lot of us as fans and people who criticized him were focusing on his accuracy. He's improved greatly over 2 weeks. Granted, came against the Jets and the Dolphins. Their defenses, can't really help that. That's what he happened playing the first 2 weeks. I mean, but you can't sit here and say that the guy has not really been improving when he really, if you really watch the game as in depth as some would and some did, I know I did, but the throws he made, the throws he was making last Sunday were just awesome, and you can tell that his mechanics have just changed so much, and they've improved greatly from year 2 to year 3, even from his rookie year to now. I mean, the way he was putting the touch on some of those passes with like the one to Cole Beasley on one drive, it was a third down play, and he just dropped it right in the bucket, man. And then of course those deep bombs he had to Diggs and John Brown, they was just and if you notice, he's a lot more comfortable back there. He's starting to get way more comfortable back there because the fact that I can say that Brandon Beane has done a great job of actually surrounding him with good protection, going out and getting Mitch Morse, putting Cody Ford inside. He grabbed Darrell Williams this offseason, playing him at right tackle. Quentin Spain and Dayon Dawkins. These guys have really been gelling as an offensive unit, and they've been able to give him a lot of time back there to make these type of throws.
And absolutely, and you even touched upon it. Like, his motion and his, like, mechanics look so much better. Everyone was saying Josh Allen, he has this rocket arm, but he has no accuracy. That's just not the case. I think Allen realized during the offseason, and you can definitely see it, that he does not have to have a rocket arm on every single one of these throws. It looks like he's actually, like, intricate, like, doing intricate passes, like he's doing touch passes. He's doing, like, lobs. He's not doing a bullet pass every time. And, like, and you can tell, like, on that play to Diggs on the sideline, that is just a touch pass that Diggs is catching up to and having no problem catching it on the sideline. That deep bomb to John Brown, that looked effortless. Like, Josh Allen just stepped up in the pocket and just literally flicked his wrist, and that ball went 50-plus yards. And that looked effortless to him. So I really think Josh Allen has developed his game to where he's not, like, doing a Brett Favre, and he's not doing a bullet pass every single time. He's, like, he's intricating those touch passes, those lob passes. He's making sure, like, he's throwing the receiver into open space and not just, throwing it to where they're open now, which is a huge step to what he was doing last year. Because a lot of times he was throwing it to where they were, and then the throw would end up behind them or in front of them.
Most definitely. Like I said, through 2 weeks, he's looked awesome. And like I said, this week is going to be a very big test. Let me touch on some numbers right here. Back to the Ramsey thing. Ramsey played 44 snaps last week against the Eagles. Allowed no catches. Do I think that's going to happen this week? I don't really think that. I mean, like I said, him and Diggs, very interesting matchup this week. And I have a bold prediction for you later when we get to predictions.
Okay.
Like I said, we talked about Milano and Edmonds. Both of the Milano actually was a full go. He actually practiced fully Friday. So of course both of them got the questionable tag. Like, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna see Milano Sunday, possibly Edmonds, but it's like, so I really think we'll be able to get both of them back, which is very good for that defense because they struggled against the pass. They did not look so well against the pass this year. They are third against the run. So it's going to be tough for Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson to find those holes against our run defense. And another person that we didn't really touch on was Levi Wallace.
I was actually just about to do that. I was just about to segue.
Him matching up against Kupp and Robert Woods this week is very interesting because last week, and I know Leslie Frazier touched on this early in the week, he was saying, hey, man, if he wants people to stop picking on him, he got to make plays. I mean, the guy gave up 13 to 14 catches last week for over 150 yards.
Yeah.
So,
no,
I don't really think. I really don't think. I don't think it'll happen again. He will get targeted, but if he makes plays, then he won't get targeted as much. But the last week, he really struggled going up against those Miami wide receivers.
I remember watching that game with my dad, and I was getting frustrated with Levi because this kid is so inconsistent in the sense there's weeks where he can be a ghost, and and that's a good thing because he's not getting targeted. The person is getting shut down. And then there's other weeks like last week where he is just a ghost, where people are just going right by him. So like there's two kinds of ghosts. It's a ghost where like he's not getting targeted, and then there's times where he's getting targeted and he's letting up easy plays. I mean, my biggest grievance was the fact that Leslie Frazier knew what the Bills had to do against the Dolphins. They had to put a corner on Gesicki, and Levi Wallace was getting just absolutely destroyed on routes by Gesicki, and that's a tight end. Tight ends are not generally fast. So if you're telling me you can't keep up with Gesicki, how are you going to keep up with Cooper Kupp, who's one of the best route runners in the NFC, and then Robert Woods, who's one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL?
Most definitely. He did. Like I said, I hope he had a good week of practice, because Jared Goff is going to have some passes go his way. So he's in. Of course, the Rams have a very talented wide receiving core over there, just as talented as Buffalo's with Kupp and Woods and Higbee, and then of course they got a rookie wideout in Van Jefferson whose name has been brought up a couple of times this week from the couple of things that I've watched, and they're saying he's actually working out pretty well for them. So we'll see how much of a factor he'll play into the game Sunday. It should be interesting, very interesting.
Oh, definitely. If I'm the Bills, honestly, knowing Levi Wallace's weaknesses, and it seems to be man versus man, like his true weakness, I might just sit in zone. Like, I would have Milano and Edmonds play the insides and have Tre'Davious and Levi play the outsides with Hyde and Poyer roaming across, the center field. I would honestly have them play zone defense and try to see if Jared Goff can dissect it. Because if he can't, and you have Tre'Davious White on the outside, Levi Wallace on the outside, Milano and Edmonds on the inside, and you're not going to throw it deep because you have Poyer and Hyde on the on the deep routes. I think that's what Buffalo should do. Because Tre'Davious White is going to lock up most receivers. He let up his first touchdown since the 2018 season, because he didn't allow a single one last year. Tre'Davious White is a true lockdown corner, so he's gonna put your wide receiver one on an island, and you gotta beat him on a press route. And I don't know if the Rams have a receiver that can beat the press. I think they rely on a miscommunication or a zone defense to where somebody just misplays their zone. I don't think if Robert Woods is going up against Tre'Davious, Robert Woods is gonna get 6 catches for 78 yards. But you also have to play on that strength of Levi Wallace, because you can't play a man zone scheme. You have to run one of those, and I would prefer them to run zone. That way, Levi isn't getting torched by Tyler Higbee or Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, that could be very interesting. I could somewhat agree with that. I mean, what's crazy? Watching that game last week, there was actually a point in the game where it got to a point where I got so irritated where I ended up. I was actually calling for Josh Norman last week. So. Oh,
trust me, I was too. I was like, the fact that Levi Wallace, it's not like it was Devontae Parker, who is an amazing wide receiver. It was a tight end. If you can't cover a tight end as a corner, that's a problem. Usually the linebackers are covering the tight ends, maybe the safeties. You're a corner. Your thing is to say, you are not getting past me. I'm a brick wall. And Levi Wallace just was not that. And I was even telling my dad like this, look, the problem is they can't bench Levi. They don't have another corner active because Josh Norman is on IR. Now, next week when the Bills go to Vegas and Josh Norman is officially off IR, this could be where it's a little interesting. Do the Bills activate Josh Norman? Do they deactivate Levi Wallace? Do they keep all three active?
Well, I wouldn't say. Well, I think I can actually answer that. So, of course, when you look, I don't know if you actually the actual official depth chart read Norman won the CB2 job. So
I had a feeling he would.
Why Levi is playing right now is because Norman is hurt. So when Norman comes back next week, he will be activated off IR, and more than likely they're gonna keep all three out there. They're gonna keep all three on there, but it'll probably be Norman's probably going to get the nod against the Raiders, and Levi will be the rotation man.
I can totally see that being the case.
Which would be really interesting because we haven't seen. I mean, I'm really excited to see what Josh Norman's going to look like back in the system that he knows.
Exactly. I had like very high predictions in the sense of Josh Norman not going back to the strength to where he was that lockdown corner in 2015 where he earned his contract from the Redskins.
It's a real possibility he'd get back to that form. I said it when we got the man. I said, hey, he come back to a system that he knows. Even though he on the older end, he ain't in his. I ain't gonna say he a little past his prime. But
you can definitely say he's past his prime.
Get back to that form.
I have no doubt that he can return to that form. I just don't know if he will. But if there was any team it would be under a Sean McDermott coach team to where McDermott was the defensive coordinator for that Panthers team. And you look at it, right? This defense is kind of similar to that, Panthers defense in 2015. You have a star middle linebacker. Now, I'm not saying Luke Kuechly is comparable to Tremaine Edmonds or the other way around, but I'm just saying a young, smart star linebacker in Tremaine Edmonds leading the middle of the field. You have a lockdown corner in Tre'Davious, and, you got some pressure. You don't have the greatest pressure in the world, but you have some pressure on that defensive line.
15 sacks there.
Honestly, I could see Josh Norman returning close to that prime form when he was on the Panthers, and that'd be huge for the Buffalo Bills because, if they have a solid number 2 corner and Levi can be that rotational man, that's a huge help. But you even crossed past this earlier in the video with Jalen Ramsey against Stephon Diggs. This matchup is a huge matchup for Diggs for more than one reason. Yes, Jalen Ramsey is one of the best corners in the league, but you have the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore, who is arguably the best corner in the league in your division. And you have, every time in practice, Tre'Davious White and Diggs are going one-on-one. So it's iron sharpening iron. And then you're looking at Ramsey. If Diggs can, do a little something against Ramsey, that's going to build up confidence for when the Bills have to go into Foxborough or host the Patriots, and he has to go up against Gilmore. Because Gilmore was getting beat by DK Metcalf, and I'm saying this, Stephon Diggs is a better route runner than DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is a more physical wide receiver. He is a physical beast. But if Diggs and Gilmore are going route for route, I think Stephon Diggs could easily win this matchup. If he can build momentum against Ramsey, I think he's going to be a very interesting matchup against Gilmore.
I mean, and Josh Allen ain't gonna shy away from Jalen Ramsey.
No.
He gonna target that man early and often. So it's gonna be real interesting to see that. And as far as with hitting back on Josh Allen, it's a big test for him because watching the breakdown of actually what the Rams, they're gonna try to throw some cover 3, some 1, some 6 concepts at him, and there's a possibility that it may look like one coverage. They're gonna try to confuse Josh on Sunday. But from what I'm seeing from Josh is seeing the field way better than what I saw his rookie year and last year. He's seen a whole lot better. So hopefully, I don't think he will get too caught up and confused in the coverages. But the Rams are going to try to throw some things at him. They might look like a 6, but it's really a 4. So
All right.
It'll be a real. It's going to be a chess match on Sunday between McDermott and McVay.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so this video running a little longer than I expected, but that's all fine with me. Let's get into our predictions. What do you think is gonna happen, Vince?
My score prediction, I'm going to say, because it's only a 3-point line, so but Buffalo's favored by 3. I mean, I'm gonna say 27-24.
It's funny. I was thinking about the 27-24 range too. I'm gonna go 27-21 Buffalo. Now, I have to ask you this question. Josh Allen technically lost his crown. He is no longer the leading leader in passing yards due to the fact that Gardner Minshew now has 787. Yeah. Do you think at the end of Week 3, Josh Allen will lead the league in passing?
Yes.
I
truly believe that, because like I said, they're not going to completely shut this man out. There's going to be times where Josh there's going to be an open play for him. So I personally think he'll be in the 250, 300 range. I mean, unless I don't really see any other matchups this week that really where a quarterback is probably going to go like super duper crazy. But personally, I would think he'll be the lead passer after this weekend.
Much
you have one bold prediction after.
As much as I would love to say, yes, I think he absolutely is. I think the fact that he only has, only had a 6-yard lead on Matt Ryan kind of makes me a little worried. I think Josh Allen will still be top 2, top 3 in passing yards, but I would not be surprised if he dropped out of that due to the fact that, if Matt Ryan threw an extra first down, he'd take the lead. So if Josh Allen had, a little bit more, leverage over that, I'd say I could confidently predict it. But I'm going to say he'll still be top 3 in passing yards. But that's going to be the end of this video, guys. I'm going to leave Vince's links in the description as always. Let me know if you guys want me to add one person next week. I know I have a Raider fan who, I don't know if you'd want to be on the episode, but I could definitely try to get him on. And yeah, you have any closing words, Vince?
Bold prediction. I've said it on Twitter earlier today, under one post. But Ramsey Diggs. Most people are probably not gonna like this, depending on what fans you got watching this video. But Ramsey Diggs. Ramsey will be targeted at least 10 times. Diggs wins 8 of the 10. Gets close to 100 yards, and Ramsey will give up his first touchdown on Sunday.
Wow. All right. So you're predicting Stephon Diggs gets 8 receptions on 10 targets and a touchdown against Jalen Ramsey. That is a bold prediction. I'm D-Man HD. Hopefully you like this video. Hopefully the Bills can pull out a win and go up 3-0 so we can shut the media up for once. And I'm out.